The sky had darkened by the time Emma reached home. The storm from earlier had followed her, low thunder rolling across the horizon, heavy air pressing down like a weight she couldn't shake. Her wipers beat rhythmically against the windshield, but the rain fell faster, blurring the streetlights into streaks of gold and white. The letter from Daniel, still unopened, sat on the passenger seat beside her. It felt alive somehow, humming faintly with everything unsaid. She wanted to open it, to finally know what he had written to the woman who'd shaped both their lives. But something in her resisted. Not yet. Not until she faced James. By the time she pulled into the driveway, her hands were shaking. The apartment was too quiet. The kind of quiet that felt staged, deliberate. James was sitting at the dining table when she walked in, sleeves rolled up, laptop open, papers spread neatly across the surface. He looked calm. Collected. Prepared. "Hey," he said without looking up. "You're home." Emma dropped her keys onto the counter. The sound was too loud in the stillness. "We need to talk." "I know." He closed the laptop with slow precision, then looked up at her. "I've been thinking about our future." The way he said "our" made her uneasy. It sounded like ownership disguised as partnership. He gestured to the papers. The offer came through from Turner and Finch. It's the Boston office, partner track, good benefits, a townhouse included in the package. It's perfect for us. Emma blinked. "Boston?" He nodded, smiling as if he'd just announced something wonderful. "It's where I grew up. My family's roots are there. I talked to my parents this morning, they're thrilled. It's a new start for both of us." The room tilted slightly. "You talked to them?" "Of course," he said. "I didn't want to say anything until it was confirmed. I know you hate uncertainty." Emma's throat tightened. "You made this decision without me." He frowned. "I made it for us. You've been overwhelmed. I wanted to handle it." "For us," she repeated slowly. "Or for you?" James's expression hardened, confusion turning to irritation. "Emma, what's the problem?" "It's everything we've talked about. Stability. Security. A home." "I don't remember agreeing to move across the country," she said quietly. His jaw clenched. "You said you wanted a fresh start." "I said I wanted to breathe." "That's the same thing." "No," she said, voice trembling. "It's not." For a moment, neither of them spoke. The thunder outside filled the silence, a deep growl that seemed to rattle through the walls. James sighed, as if speaking to a child. "Emma, look, I know you've been under pressure. Between the wedding, the family expectations, everything with work. You've been distracted, emotional. You'll feel better once we're settled." She stared at him, heart pounding. "Do you hear yourself?" "What?" "You just described me like a problem to fix." He rubbed his temples. "I'm trying to help you." "No," she said. "You're trying to manage me." The words hung in the air, sharp, unfiltered, truer than anything she'd said in weeks. James's face darkened. "That's not fair." "What's not fair," she shot back, "is that you keep making decisions and calling them ours. Every time I have an opinion, you correct it. Every time I hesitate, you call it nerves. Every part of my life is being planned for me, and I'm supposed to smile and be grateful." He stood, pushing the chair back hard enough that it scraped the floor. "Where is this coming from? You've been acting strange ever since you found that damn dress." Her breath caught. He noticed. "Yeah," he said, voice low. "I know about it. The letter. The research. The old woman." Emma's stomach dropped. "You followed me?" "I didn't have to. You left breadcrumbs everywhere." He stepped closer, eyes cold. "Do you have any idea how insane this looks? You're letting a ghost story make you question your entire life." She took a step back. "It's not a ghost story." "Then what is it?" She hesitated. "It's a warning." James laughed, harsh, humorless. "A warning? From a dead woman?" "From a woman who lived exactly like I'm about to." His expression flickered, uncertainty flashing across his face before pride buried it. Emma, this isn't you. You're letting your imagination spiral. You're smarter than this. Am I? She whispered. Because right now, I feel like I've been sleepwalking through my own life. James exhaled sharply, pacing. You're overwhelmed. That's all this is. No, Emma said. This is clarity. He turned. Clarity? She nodded slowly. I finally understand what Catherine meant. What it feels like to be surrounded by people who love the version of you that makes them comfortable. To play the part so perfectly that you forget what your real voice sounds like. He shook his head. You're projecting. You're not her. Maybe not, she said. But I'm starting to see how easily I could become her. Something inside her broke then, not loudly, not visibly, but deeply. It wasn't anger. It was realization. That this apartment, this conversation, this man, wasn't her life. It was the performance of one. James must have seen the change in her face because his voice softened. Emma, he said, I love you. I'm trying to build a future for us. She looked at him for a long time, searching his eyes for something real. No, she said finally. You're trying to build a future that looks perfect. There's a difference. He reached for her hand, but she pulled it back. I can't do this right now, she whispered. She turned and walked toward the bedroom, needing space, air, anything that didn't smell like control. The unopened letter was still in her bag. She pulled it out and set it on the nightstand. Daniel Rowe. The man who'd loved Catherine enough to keep writing after she'd gone silent. The man whose words had outlived him. Her hands trembled as she stared at it. Behind her, she heard James's voice in the doorway. Emma, please. Let's stop fighting. She didn't turn around. Do you ever notice that every time I try to talk about how I feel, you tell me I'm fine? He sighed. Because I don't want to lose you to your fears. She turned then, eyes wet but steady. You already are. For a second, something flickered in his expression, fear, maybe, or recognition. But it vanished just as quickly. I'm going to take a walk, she said. I need air. Emma, it's storming. She slipped her shoes on, grabbed her coat. It's just rain. Where are you going? I don't know, she said honestly. But somewhere I can hear myself think. The wind caught her hair the moment she stepped outside. Rain lashed at her face, cold and relentless. She pulled her hood up, heart pounding, not from fear but from something sharper, release. For once, she didn't know what came next. And for the first time in months, that didn't terrify her. The streets shimmered with reflections, every puddle catching flashes of street light and lightning. She walked aimlessly, past darkened shops, past strangers huddled under umbrellas, until she found herself at the river. The water was high, rushing fast beneath the bridge. She gripped the railing, breath coming in uneven bursts. In her mind, she saw Catherine, standing in the same kind of rain, somewhere decades earlier, holding her letter and wondering if it was too late. Emma reached into her coat pocket and pulled out Daniel's unopened letter. The paper was damp now, fragile at the edges. Her thumb brushed the seal. Behind her, footsteps splashed through the puddles. Emma. She turned. James stood a few yards away, soaked through, rain running down his face. His expression was unreadable, a mix of anger, fear, and something darker. What are you doing here? She asked, her voice trembling. I followed you. Why? He stepped closer. Because you're not thinking clearly. You're making a mistake. Maybe, she said. But at least it'll be mine. The wind howled, whipping her hair across her face. She could barely hear him over the rain. Come home, he said. We can fix this. Just put that letter down. She looked at the envelope in her hand, then back at him. Why? His eyes flicked to the paper, and something in his voice cracked. Because you don't know what's inside. The way he said it, too sharp, too urgent, made her freeze. Her breath caught. You've read it. He didn't answer. You've read Daniel's letter. His silence was confirmation. The rain thundered harder, drowning out everything but her heartbeat. Emma took a step back, her fingers tightening around the envelope. What did he write, James? What are you so afraid of me finding? James's face twisted, guilt, panic, anger all at once. It doesn't matter, he said. It's over. They're gone. Let it stay that way. But his voice wavered, betraying him. Emma's heart slammed in her chest. What did you do? Lightning split the sky, white and merciless. For a fraction of a second, she saw his face illuminated, and it wasn't the face of the man she thought she knew. It was something harder, older, inherited. And in that flash of light, she understood. Whatever Catherine's story had ended with, it hadn't been peace. And now, the same shadow had found her. The wind tore through the bridge, nearly ripping the letter from her hand. James took another step forward. Emma, he said quietly, you don't want to read that. She stared at him through the rain. I think I finally do. Then she tore the envelope open. And everything changed. The rain had finally stopped by morning, but the world it left behind looked washed out, gray streets, dripping trees, a quiet that felt uneasy rather than peaceful. Emma sat at the kitchen table, staring at the unopened box of china her mother had sent over for the wedding. Each piece inside was fragile, perfect, expensive, and completely unwanted. She could still feel the storm from the night before vibrating inside her. The words, the silence, the look on James's face when she tore open Daniel's letter. She hadn't even finished reading it. Not yet. She couldn't. Because the first sentence had been enough to shatter her. If you're reading this, then someone has lied to you. James moved around the apartment quietly, as if pretending everything was normal. He was in the kitchen now, making coffee, humming under his breath. Emma watched him from the table, noting how ordinary he looked. How effortlessly composed. He was still wearing the same composure that had once made her feel safe, the calm certainty that had steadied her when life felt too big. Now, it just felt like a mask. He turned, smiling slightly when he saw her awake. Morning. Morning. You didn't sleep much, he said, pouring a cup and setting it in front of her. I couldn't. He nodded, sitting across from her. You're anxious. It happens. Everyone gets jittery before a wedding. The word jittery made something inside her recoil. This isn't about nerves. He chuckled softly. Emma, come on. It's literally called cold feet. You're about to make the biggest decision of your life. Of course you're nervous. I'm not nervous, she said quietly. I'm uncertain. He frowned, leaning back. That's the same thing. No, she said. It's not. Her voice sounded strange to her own ears, flat, even. She realized she was holding her breath. James set his mug down carefully. Okay, he said slowly. Then tell me what's going on. What's making you uncertain? She hesitated. Everything feels wrong. Like I'm living in someone else's story. He smiled gently, but it didn't reach his eyes. Emma, you're overthinking again. Stop saying that. He blinked. Saying what? That I'm overthinking. Her voice rose, startling both of them. Every time I try to talk about how I feel, you tell me I'm imagining it. Like my emotions are some kind of problem to solve. I didn't mean it like that. Yes, you did, she said, eyes shining now. You always do. You act like if you just stay calm long enough, I'll fall back into place. But I won't, James. Not this time. The air went still. He studied her carefully, the way a doctor studies a patient describing pain that doesn't show up on the scans. Finally, he said, I think you're letting that dress and that woman's story get under your skin. You've built this whole fantasy around it, and now you're confusing it with your own life. She laughed softly, bitterly. Do you hear yourself? You sound like her husband. He froze. Robert, she said. Catherine's husband. He wasn't cruel. He just never listened. He thought silence meant peace, when really it was just surrender. Emma, James said, his tone shifting, half warning, half disbelief. This is ridiculous. Is it? She asked. Because I look at you, and I see him. The good man everyone loves. The one who never raises his voice, never forgets a birthday, never misses a chance to say the right thing. But behind all that goodness, there's this absence. His jaw tightened. You're projecting a ghost onto me. Maybe, she said. Or maybe ghosts just find people who look like the ones they lost. James rubbed his temple. You're exhausted. You're saying things you don't mean. Emma stood abruptly, pacing the room. You always say that when I tell you something you don't want to hear. I'm trying to keep us from blowing up over nothing. This isn't nothing, she snapped. You made plans for our entire life without asking me. You lied about reading Daniel's letter. And you keep pretending that if you stay calm enough, I'll forget all of it. He stood now too, matching her height. I didn't lie. I just wanted to protect you. Protect me from what? He hesitated, just long enough for the silence to sting. From things that don't matter anymore, he said finally. Emma took a step closer. Say it. Say you read it. He exhaled, shoulders dropping. Fine. I read it. Why? Because I didn't want you to get hurt. Her laugh came out hollow. You didn't want me to know. He said nothing. She turned away, voice trembling. He wrote that someone lied to Catherine. Someone close. That's how the letter starts. Were you afraid I'd find out who? That was decades ago, James said quickly. Whatever happened then has nothing to do with us. It has everything to do with us, she whispered. Because I can't unsee it. The way your family has built its life on silence. The way you look at me like I'm something fragile that needs managing. Emma. You don't even hear me, she said, cutting him off. You only hear the version of me that fits your plans. He moved closer, lowering his voice. You're tired, you're emotional, and you're letting a dead man's letter rewrite your reality. She stared at him, stunned. Do you really think that's what this is? He nodded, eyes soft but unyielding. You're not yourself lately. Once the wedding's over, once we're settled, you'll see. You'll be happy again. Happy, she repeated, almost whispering. Yes, he said, reaching for her hand. We'll build a life. The one we always talked about. She let him take her hand for a moment, feeling the warmth of his skin, the steadiness of his pulse. It should have been comforting. It wasn't. She pulled away. You don't get it. I don't want to build your life anymore. He blinked, confusion flickering into fear. Ours. She shook her head slowly. No. Yours. Emma, please, he said, voice rising slightly now. You're talking like you want to throw everything away. She met his gaze, tears brimming. Maybe I do. For a long, unbearable minute, neither spoke. James's expression softened again, as if he decided to start over, to soothe. You're scared, he said gently. That's all this is. It's normal before a wedding. Stop calling it normal, she whispered. Emma. Stop calling me scared. He fell silent. She sank back into her chair, her voice breaking. You know what's worse than being unhappy, James? It's realizing the person who loves you will never actually see you. That he loves the idea of you more than the person sitting in front of him. James looked genuinely wounded for the first time. That's not true. Then prove it, she said. Listen to me. Don't fix me. Don't rationalize me. Just listen. He nodded stiffly. Okay. But when she began to speak, when she started to talk about Catherine, about Daniel, about the way fear and silence had shaped generations of women, his eyes glazed over. He looked at her, but not into her. He nodded at the right moments, murmured the right phrases, but she could feel it, the disconnect. The wall. The polite distance of a man who'd already decided what was real. And in that moment, something inside her went very, very still. She saw it so clearly it almost made her dizzy. Robert Moore, sitting at the head of the dinner table, nodding while Catherine spoke about something she cared about, smiling just enough to seem kind, listening just enough to be blameless. The man who never raised his voice. The man who killed her softly with indifference. And now, across the table, sat James Turner, a man who loved her the same way. It wasn't malice. It was erasure. Emma rose slowly. "Where are you going?" he asked. She didn't answer. She walked into the bedroom, picked up her coat, and slipped Daniel's letter into her pocket. "Emma," he called after her, standing now. "We're not done." "I think we are. You can't just leave in the middle of a fight." "I'm not fighting," she said quietly. "I'm finally telling the truth." She walked to the door. Her hand was on the knob when his voice stopped her. "Emma," he said, softer now, almost pleading. "If you go, don't expect me to wait." She turned halfway, her face unreadable. "I'm not asking you to." Then she opened the door and stepped into the hallway. Behind her, she heard him exhale, a low, frustrated sound, and something crashed softly, a cup maybe, hitting the counter. But she didn't turn around. She walked until she reached the stairwell, where the air was cooler, still carrying the damp scent of last night's storm. Her phone buzzed in her pocket. A new message. From Margaret. "He wasn't the only one writing letters, Emma. I found something you need to see." Her pulse quickened. She looked at the timestamp. Sent 10 minutes ago. Then another message appeared, but this one wasn't from Margaret. It was from an unknown number. "Don't meet her alone." The elevator dinged softly behind her. She turned, half expecting James, but the hall was empty. A shiver ran down her spine. She tightened her coat around her and stepped out into the damp night, the city lights flickering like small, restless fires. The wedding was a week away. And the truth, at last, was coming for her. The house was full of noise, but Emma heard none of it. Laughter spilled from the kitchen, the kind of laughter that sounded practiced, too bright, too eager. The air smelled of flowers, frosting, and tension disguised as joy. Everywhere she turned, there were lists, seating charts, schedules, reminders to smile. The wedding was in 7 days. And Emma felt like a ghost rehearsing someone else's life. Her mother was in her element, flitting from one task to the next like a director on opening night. "Sweetheart, did you confirm the rehearsal dinner head count? The florist needs final approval on the bouquet selection by tonight. Oh, and your aunt from London arrives tomorrow." Emma nodded, barely hearing. "Okay." "Okay," her mother echoed. "Darling, this is your wedding week. Try to sound like it means something." "I'm just tired." "Of course you are," her mother said quickly, misreading the tone as sympathy. "You've been planning non-stop. All brides get this way. Cold feet, stress, it's normal." That phrase again. It's normal. As if normalcy was a cure for panic. Her mother smiled tightly. "Once you walk down that aisle, all this will melt away. You'll see." Emma forced a nod, but inside, she was sinking. Every conversation was a script she no longer believed in. By afternoon, the house swelled with people, family, old friends, distant relatives who hugged her like a trophy they'd all contributed to winning. "Emma, darling. You look radiant. James is such a catch, your parents must be thrilled. Can you believe it's only a week away? Enjoy every second." Their voices blurred together until they became white noise, a chorus of well-meaning strangers narrating her own disappearance. In photographs, she smiled. In conversations, she nodded. Inwardly, she counted the days, not with excitement, but dread. That night, when the last guest left, she slipped upstairs and closed her door. The letter was waiting on the nightstand where she'd left it. She unfolded it carefully, her hands trembling the way they always did before she read it. The paper was soft, worn from how many times she'd done this. "If you're reading this, then someone has lied to you. I thought I understood Catherine's silence. I told myself she chose it because she was kind, because she didn't want to hurt anyone. But kindness can become cruelty when it hides the truth. Your family, our family, was built on that silence. I begged her to leave. I told her we could build a different life. But someone convinced her that duty was love. Someone convinced her that her voice didn't matter. And by the time she realized the cost, it was too late to get it back. If you are part of her story, then you deserve to know this. Robert wasn't the only one who kept her trapped." The next line was smudged, as though tears, or rain, had blurred it decades ago. It was her father. Emma had stopped at that sentence every time she'd read it, unable to move past the way it twisted her stomach. Catherine hadn't just been trapped by a husband, she'd been shaped by a parent's expectations. And now here was Emma, the dutiful daughter, marching toward the same quiet undoing. Downstairs, she could hear her mother talking to James's mother in the living room. Their voices carried up the staircase like a duet of polite authority. "I'm so glad she's marrying into a family that shares our values," her mother said. "Exactly," James's mother replied. "She's such a thoughtful young woman. Traditional. Steady. Just what James needs. Traditional. Steady. Predictable." Words meant as praise but sharpened like chains. Emma closed her eyes, pressing the letter to her chest. "Don't let anyone choose your life for you. Not even me." Catherine's warning pulsed through her. She wanted to believe it wasn't too late to listen. But with every flower arrangement, every polite smile, every "you're so lucky," it felt harder to breathe. The next morning, her mother burst into her room without knocking. "Wake up, sweetheart. The photographer's here for the final fitting." Emma sat up slowly, exhausted. Her mother froze mid-sentence, studying her face. "You look pale. Are you eating enough?" "I'm fine." Her mother frowned, smoothing invisible wrinkles on the comforter. "You're nervous. I can tell. You always get that look before big moments. Like before your college interviews." "I'm not nervous, Mom." Her mother smiled gently, brushing her hair back from her face. "Oh, honey, you don't have to hide it. Every bride feels this way. You're just overwhelmed. All brides are." Emma looked at her, really looked at her, the carefully styled hair, the immaculate nails, the expression that had learned how to turn worry into performance. "Did you feel like this before you married Dad?" Emma asked softly. Her mother blinked. "What? Did you ever wonder if you were marrying the life everyone expected of you?" Her mother's smile faltered. "What kind of question is that?" "An honest one." Her mother's hands froze mid-gesture. "Emma, don't overthink this. You love James. He's good for you. That's what you said about Dad." Her mother's face hardened. "That's enough." "Why? Because it's true?" Her mother's voice sharpened, just a fraction. "Don't confuse fear with wisdom. You're not Catherine, and this isn't some tragic love story. It's a wedding. Your wedding." Emma felt the words land like a slap. "You've been talking to James." Her mother hesitated. "He's worried about you." "Of course he is," Emma said bitterly. "I'm not behaving the way I'm supposed to." Her mother's tone softened again, weary now. "You've always been sensitive. You think too much. It's what makes you creative, but it also makes you doubt everything. Don't let it ruin this." Emma turned away. "Maybe doubt is what's saving me." Her mother sighed, defeated, and left the room. Later, Emma stood in front of the full-length mirror, the dress draped over her shoulders for its final adjustment. The ivory lace shimmered under the light, the same pattern, the same cut, the same ghost of 1957. She stared at her reflection. The woman in the mirror looked composed, graceful, perfect. And utterly hollow. She whispered to the reflection, "Is this what you wanted, Catherine?" The silence that followed felt like an answer. That night, at the rehearsal dinner, the performance continued. James's hand rested on the small of her back as they greeted guests. Cameras flashed. Glasses clinked. Words like love, future, and forever filled the air. Every time she laughed, it felt borrowed. James leaned down at one point, whispering, "See? Everything's coming together. You look beautiful." She forced a smile. "Thank you." Inside, she was screaming. Halfway through dessert, her phone buzzed quietly under the table. A text. From Margaret. "I found the last piece. Catherine's diary. You need to see it before the wedding." Emma's pulse spiked. She slipped the phone back into her lap, glancing at James. He was mid-conversation with his father, laughing easily, unaware. She typed a quick reply. "When?" The response came seconds later. "Tomorrow." Noon. Same place. She looked at the time. Midnight was only a few hours away. That night, she couldn't sleep. She sat by the window, the dress hanging in the corner like an accusation. Her phone lay on the nightstand beside Daniel's letter. She read it again, though she'd memorized every word. Someone convinced her that her voice didn't matter. The line cut deeper every time. She thought about James, his calmness, his logic, his endless patience that always seemed to erase her instead of understand her. She thought about her mother's insistence that everything was normal. She thought about Catherine, folding a letter into the lining of a dress because it was the only way she could make her voice last. Emma whispered into the quiet, "I won't end like you." The reflection in the window, her own face, ghostly in the glass, didn't argue. The next morning, sunlight filtered through her curtains, warm but faint. The house was already alive with motion, her mother on the phone with the caterer, relatives in the kitchen debating wine lists. Emma dressed quietly, jeans and a sweater, slipping out before anyone noticed. As she reached her car, she heard her mother calling from the porch. "Where are you going?" "The planner's coming in an hour." "I just need to clear my head," Emma said. "I'll be back before lunch." Emma. But she was already pulling out of the driveway. The road to Willow Hill felt different this time. The first time, she'd gone there looking for answers. Now, she was going for truth. The difference felt like the space between breathing and choking. She gripped the steering wheel, Daniel's letter tucked safely in her purse, Catherine's voice echoing in her head. "Don't let anyone choose your life for you." Rain clouds gathered again in the distance, a gray curtain rolling slowly toward the city. As she turned onto the familiar road leading to Willow Hill, her phone buzzed. She ignored it at first, probably her mother. But then it buzzed again. And again. She glanced at the screen. 3 missed calls from Margaret. 1 voicemail. A chill crept up her spine. She pressed play. Margaret's voice crackled through the speaker, rushed and strained. "Emma, don't come here. Someone's been asking about you. About the letters. Please, just." The message cut off abruptly, drowned by static. Emma's grip tightened on the wheel. The road ahead blurred as rain began to fall again, sudden and heavy. Her phone buzzed once more. A text this time. Unknown number. Turn back. Her heart slammed against her ribs. She glanced in the rearview mirror. Headlights. A dark car, following too closely, matching her every turn. The rain thickened, drumming on the windshield. Emma pressed harder on the gas. Somewhere ahead, the road curved sharply toward Willow Hill. She could still hear Margaret's fractured voice in her mind. "Don't come here, someone's been asking about you." She didn't know if she was driving toward the truth, or straight into the past that had already destroyed one woman before her.